So I brought my favorite book with me. It's called On the Night You Were Born by Nancy Tillman. And I was introduced to it. My sister gave it to me as a gift when I was pregnant with my oldest. And we read it together almost every night still. And I love it because, number one, it's a beautiful literary work. If you read it and look at the illustrations, it's just a beautiful book. But I feel like it also does this great job of putting into words both the transition to being a mom and how that feels. And both of my girls were born in the middle of the night, so it has a special place there. But then it also has this great way of depicting that every child is so individual and unique and has these great things to offer the world. That's just why it's my favorite book, because it's so beautiful in describing that every child has so much to offer the world, and I love that. I grew up in a family with 3 siblings. I have a twin sister, an identical twin sister, and I have an older brother and an older sister, and then my parents still live in Penn Trafford. And yeah, I grew up in Pittsburgh and didn't leave until I went to college out in San Diego, California. So being a twin is really cool. My sister and I feel like we're inseparable growing up. We're just so, I feel like a lot of twins have their own kind of things. We were very similar in our interests, so we were always involved in the same things, even though we didn't necessarily have to be together. We just liked the same things, and that kind of shows now that she's a physician's assistant in pediatrics and I'm a nurse practitioner in pediatrics. But it's just cool. She's my best friend. She's been there through everything, and I love having someone to share the every day with. Even it's on the phone a lot now since she lives in Philly. But it's just so cool. I love being a twin. I feel like it's a great thing. So no, everyone always asks that, but nothing really cool like that at all, which is a bummer. But yeah, none of that. But we look very similar, so we would always get mixed up. We never did we never traded. I think I'm too much of a rule follower for that. But we look very identical, so I think that we could have done it. Yeah. My cousin had told me about the nursing program there, and so when I was in 11th grade, I decided why not check it out. So when we were out there visiting on vacation, I checked out the school, loved it, and yeah, ended up living 4 years out there for college. It was a great experience. San Diego's a beautiful city. So after I graduated, I had met my now husband while I was home for summer after my freshman year of college. So we did long distance for 3 years while I was still out there. And at the end of it, just decided Pittsburgh's home. So we both were job searching here in Pittsburgh, and I got a job at Children's Hospital of Pittsburgh, and my husband got a job here as well. So we settled back here and just hope to vacation back to San Diego now for some times. I don't have a ton of spare time these days, but in the time that I do have, I do enjoy running, and so that's why I brought this medal here. It's nothing crazy exciting. I'm not an avid runner or a marathoner. This is from the Pittsburgh Relay. I did run a half marathon, but that was in Philadelphia, so I thought this one was more pertinent since it was for Pittsburgh. But it's just something I enjoy doing. I just like getting outside, finding a way to be healthy that I enjoy. I feel like running is just a great stress relief. So I feel like that's something that I like to do in my time off, or really just have time to catch up with friends. I feel like with 2 young kids, it's hard to have that time. So that really is something that's enjoyable, just to meet up for coffee with some friends. I always have had this passion for taking care of kids who have some challenges, and I think it started with when I graduated nursing school. I worked in the pediatric ICU at Children's, and I worked there for 5 years. And you just see kids that sometimes are just dealt a crappy hand. And then when both of my girls were born and had a month NICU stay and multiple surgeries, it just kind of made me even more passionate about giving kids the right tools to be able to make that journey smoother, as well as really give parents the tools when being a parent isn't exactly what you thought it was going to be, and your kid has something that's they're not the perfect healthy newborn that you thought you were going to have. It's a rough, rocky road at times, and so I feel like those parents just need a little extra support, a little extra encouragement that they're doing everything they can. Kind of sharing my own journey as well, just to make them feel not so alone, because certain diagnoses are rare and really lonely and isolating, and I think it's just helpful as a provider to be able to give them a little bit of insight, encouragement, any of that. So the PICU is definitely a very crazy place, and it's a wonderful place. And I learned a lot because of the providers and the nurses and everyone that works there. But it's very emotionally exhausting, and I feel like you see some really the lowest of lows that kids have to go through. So I loved the opportunity to be able to really love on kids in those hard times and love on families and just take care of them when they're really sick. And just, I mean, the knowledge that you gain from working at like a place like that is amazing. So I feel like I really learned a lot from everyone there. And I'm excited to be able to now take that knowledge that I learned there and turn it more into primary care and prevention and give parents those tools, rather than sometimes seeing it when it's a little bit too late. I didn't really know I wanted to be a nurse practitioner. When I graduated, I thought I was going to be a nurse, and it's an amazing field. But like as I worked in the PICU, I feel like I learned a lot, and I wanted to be able to do some of the prevention and primary care and some teaching and education and see kids when they're healthy too. And so that's what kind of drove me. I was like, I think I want to be a nurse practitioner. So I went back to school at Pitt. 100% that the kids inspire me every single day. And that's actually why I brought this frame. It's a Shakespeare quote that says, "Though she be but little, she is fierce." And it's hanging in both of my daughter's rooms because I feel like kids have this fierceness, and they have it when they're healthy, but especially if they're sick, and especially if they face medical challenges, they have this inner strength that pushes them through. And to be able to interact with kids on a daily basis and to be a provider is just amazing because I get to see that every day, and I get to see kids fighting, and they fight to just enjoy life, and they recognize what a gift life is. Kids are so resilient, and they're so tough, and they're just so fierce, and it's so inspiring, and it makes me want to be a better person, a better mom, a better provider. And so I could not work with kids. They're the best.